Okay, yesterday we're learning the dinim of Bal Tashchis. I just want to mention one more thing which we touched upon briefly yesterday, but it's very, very important. Okay? And that is, you're not allowed to waste anything. We have to teach children not to waste anything. And the best way of teaching children not to waste anything is by being a living example of not wasting things. So you have a lot of times like this. I'm just talking about from shul. And it's not the money issue, it's the concept of teaching children what's right and wrong. A child washes their hands, yeah? Whether for Natilas Yadayim, after a bath, whatever. The adults do it and the kids do it. Right away they take off 5 paper towels, they go like this and they throw it out. You basically wasted 3 paper towels for sure, maybe even 4. I mean, a kid can use 1 paper towel to dry their hand. No kids have to be taught. Kids want to drink. They take a cup. They drink, they throw it out. A minute later, they take another drink, and again another cup. That's mamish bal tashchis. It's mamish, the kids are transgressing biblical commandments or wasting things. And parents really have to teach the children. It's not the money issue. Again, it's not money. It's going to cost another nickel. It's not going to make it or break it. But the concept, parents need to teach children the value of things. You just don't throw things out. You just don't waste things. It's biblically forbidden. Okay, next. The next dinim over here is the dinim that's called Sar Bali Chayim, torturing animals. Now in Gemara there's a machlekes if torturing animals is biblical or rabbinic. In Shulchan Aruch paskins that torturing animals is biblical. Sar Bali Chayim deraisa. We learn it out from the pasuk. It says, if you see somebody's animal loaded up and it needs help, even if it's your enemy, Oziv Tazivima, you have an obligation to help him unload the donkey. There's a whole siman in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch also all about loading up animals and the torture of animals and things like that. So according to Torah, it's forbidden to torture animals in any way whatsoever. For instance, according to halacha, bullfights, rodeos, all that stuff, that people do for entertainment, and meanwhile the animals are suffering, is biblically forbidden to do these things. Horse racing, I don't know. That's another shot of the animals suffering and they're not suffering. I don't know. But you're not allowed to torture any, by the way, there's a machlokes. Some people say you're not allowed to torture people also now. But the other tshuva right, the Rashba, they write that there's no Bali tshuva. The Rashba writes there is no Tsar Bali Chayim by a person because a person can guard themselves, they can protect themselves from, but it's forbidden to torture animals in any way whatsoever. Now, if somebody is using animals, and this is a very thing, the animal rights people are, screaming about all this animal rights experimentation. Okay, in halacha, Torah is extremely merciful. V'rachma v'kol ma'asav. Torah has pity even on an animal. Okay, halacha says that if you're doing it for the benefit of healing, meaning you want to use animals as to be able to figure out what works in medicine, all the medications we have today, all the things we tried on animals, and that's how we know they work, and that saves lives. So the halacha, it's allowed. But nevertheless, that doesn't mean you can just torture mice, let's say, because you're using for experiments what you need to do the experiment that you're allowed to do.
Torah says that you're going to break the back of the neck.
No.
That's torture.
It's not. It's the benefit of the animal. Shchita is also torture. The Rambam writes that you can't say the dinim because for human benefit, the Rambam says if the Torah was really mamish kind, it wouldn't allow shchita either. But Torah does allow shchita. Why does the Torah? Killing an animal even with shchita is more torture than not killing it at all. Yet Torah allows shchita. Now, why is it? Because to explain according to Chassidus, it makes a lot more sense. Because when you use something, like you use an animal, for the purpose of humans, you actually elevate the animal from animal state to human state. Which means as follows. We learned already many times. There's inanimate, plant, animal, and human. The purpose of everything that Hashem made in world is to elevate it, to make it higher than it is in its present state. So when you take water, which is inanimate, and you water a plant, it makes the plant grow. So water, the inanimate, was elevated to plant life. And a plant is eaten by an animal or a human. So then, what you're actually doing is, you're elevating the plant and the animal to a human state. If an animal eats a plant, so the plant is being elevated from plant state to animal state. If a person eats an animal, it's kosher that you're allowed to eat, so then it becomes blood and flesh of the person. So then you're actually elevating the animal from the din from the category of animal, and you're elevating it to human. So therefore, that is beneficial to the animal. You're doing the animal a favor by utilizing it for the right purposes. But if you just want to torture it for no reason at all, then you're not allowed to. For instance, you're not allowed to tie animals' feet together or birds' feet together. All these like pigeon racing. They actually torture the birds. And that's biblically forbidden. But if you're using it for human experiments, for medical purposes or whatever it is, then you're allowed to. What?
If you're not sure if the goyim are first killing the animal before they chop it up, is it better to encourage goyim to go vegetarian so that they don't eat an animal?
Why? No. Goyim are allowed to eat. After the flood, Goyim are allowed to eat animals.
Well, because you don't. I mean, the way they say, I don't know if PETA shows it. That they take an animal and they just start chopping it up even before they kill it.
No.
Against USDA.
Not in America. Maybe in the third world countries.
So we have a point when you shift the sakin of the animal really doesn't feel.
It's still, the Rambam says clearly, the Rambam says that if the Torah would mamish, so you can't say the mitzvah shluach hakein or all those mitzvahs is not rachmanis. The Rambam says because if the Torah would be rachman completely on animals, and we just explained why, then you wouldn't be allowed to do shchit either. But the point is that you could use animals. In fact, it says, the Gemara says in Shabbos, you're allowed to kill an animal for the sake of the four. But not stam. Just think. In fact, they discuss. 1 second. They write killing an animal is not tzar bali chaim. They quote it from the Gemara. What happens if a person's a hunter? A hunter. So they bring down. The native Yehuda brings down. You're allowed to, if it's his parnasa. If it's his parnasa. To hunt, then you're allowed to hunt. Because you're doing it for human purposes, for parnasa. What did Yitzchak tell Esav? Go hunt.
For the goyim, not for the Jew.
Yitzchak was a Jew, a very fine Jew, by the way. Fine gentleman. Not hunt for sport.
Right. For parnasa.
I just said you could do it for parnasa. Hunting for sport is taka biblically forbidden. That's sar bali chaim. You're not planning to use it.
What if the person goes ahead and sells it afterwards and somebody eats it or whatever?
So then it's allowed. Then it's parnasa.
So you're saying as long as it's not totally, there's no usefulness, then that's the line.
Correct.
So what about like a pet animal in a cage, and you're not torturing it, whatever, it's in a cage, that's how it lives, I don't know.
That's how it lives, so it's not torture for the animal.
But how is he get to know the animal's feelings? Like they're not...
I'll give you an answer. Let's discuss, okay, halachically, I'm not paskening, let's discuss it. A lot of attractions in SeaWorld were stopped because it officiates cruelty to animals. Right? They say, Shamua, Ben Zakur, whatever. You know, all those things. What do they say over there? It's torturing the animals. Yes? Now, would that halachically be, from Torah perspective, would that halachically be forbidden? Not necessarily. Because it's for enjoyment of humans. Then you can ask rodeos, but this is less torture than rodeos. It's much less torture, begashmias. Yeah? They're just cooped up in a place, but they don't suffer from it so much. Okay? So then it's not necessarily plain tsar balei chayim. That would be forbidden. You're allowed to have a zoo according to halacha. You're allowed to have a zoo. You're allowed to have a zoo.
Seems based on what you're saying, it's questionable.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, you find, Torah speaks about the concept of a zoo, okay? But you have, I don't mean here, I mean the animal zoo.
You don't mean Los Angeles.
You don't be the first year.
You know what I'm saying?
Chicago,
Okay, whatever. Chicago has a big zoo, Brookfield Zoo. But it's not yet. Now, is it the same as the animals being in the wild as they are? No, they're not. But is it necessarily torturing the animals? Meanwhile, they're fed, they're taken care of, they're given medication. You know, is that, maybe it's better for them in captivity, so to speak, than it is where they could be eaten by lions and tigers and who knows what.
Does halacha have specific guidelines? The Moshe you mentioned about tying its feet, efforts like other. Is it so specific? Like how specific does it get where if you're not, I don't know, God forbid, punching the animal or then it's not tzara the time.
It is. This punching animals.
No, that would be if it's not like punch, hurting.
Part of the mitzvah, why if you own an animal, you have to feed your animal before you feed yourself. We learn that from Pasuk and Chumash and Shema. V'nosati Esav b'sotcha levehemtecha, and then v'chalta v'savota. So the Gemara learns out that by eating, not by drinking, by eating, you have to feed your animal. That's what the Pasuk says. Hashem says, I will give grass in the fields for your animals, and then you'll eat and drink. But you'll be full. Okay? By drinking, we learn out that people come before animals. That we learn out from Rivka. When Eliezer came to the well with Rivka said to him, I will give you to drink, v'gam le'gamalecha eshov. And I'll also draw for the donkey, for the camels. So from there the Gemara learns out, Rivka was definitely a fine, gentle woman, whatever. She said, I'll give you to drink first, and then the animals. By eating, the Torah says first the animals. That's also a gedder of Bat Tzar Balei Chayim. I'll give you an example. He says over here, Din. You're not allowed to put a bird not on its own eggs. If it's a different species. Different species. Why? Because Tzar Balei Chayim, it's torture.
Okay, what about veal?
What's with veal?
So with veal, my minimal understanding is that they take a baby cow and they, in order for the flesh to be very tasty, they don't let it move. Like the flesh would put it like in a situation that it doesn't move, and then whatever, they chef it after maybe 6 months or 9 months, and the whole thing.
So again, the question is that for the benefit of the people? So then
it's eating, but for the lifetime of the animal.
there are. I once saw, by the way, that people do discuss in halacha the concept is that tzar balei chayim, but the paskin it's not because it's for the benefit of people. Animals were created for the benefit of people.
But if you're torturing an animal in the process of prepping it for people, is that considered sacrifice?
No, if there's no reason for the torture.
I mean, with the veal, that's the whole thing.
How about the concept of the firstborn animals in Israel that they make a boom in it?
They don't make a mum. They let it graze until it gets a mum. Yeah, but then you're not allowed to do anything else with it. It's hegdish. So you have to make it have a mum. And then you could sell it or pay it. You have to redeem it. And it's not hegdish anymore.
So, foie gras, where like you're force feeding a goose, I think.
That could be tzar balei chayim. Unless if they said, again, fattening it up for people to have a better food.
Yeah, that's the reason. But apparently they're over pushing the food.
So then I'm not saying it's not questionable. It could be it's questionable. Well, it's done, even the from Shlachtaizer.
Right.
and it's under Rabbonim that are machshirim. So again, obviously it's allowed because it's for the benefit of a person.
Rabbi,
But
if we don't learn Bris Milah from Abraham before giving her, how do we learn from Rivka about feeding or drinking before us before animals?
one is halacha, one is morals. Morals you learn before Matan Torah. Halacha you can't. Machashin so meise mein mege we mein kim shvla gal Torah beginnen man kashe mit. Laat ik het bogen zak